Welcome to How to Take a Break from GT7's Drama and Controversy. As I said in a previous video, GT7 is a whole heck of a heap like fake wrestling, with the manufactured drama and plot lines that seem to be pushed by the most influential people, whether it's those making videos, those sort of kind of involving the game itself, whatever it may be. And as I said in the most recent video, controversy and drama in general is a good thing, but individual dramas most people on average don't care about, and some individual dramas don't like at all. I'm in the boat for this individual drama as in GT7, a lot of it I don't particularly like, so if you don't like the drama and controversy that kind of surrounds the game now, here's just at least what I attempt to do to take a break from it. There's no way to avoid it completely. If you play GT7 regularly, nonetheless, drama and controversy will arise, but this is my best attempt at trying to get a break from it. To begin with, as I kind of said, even since the GT7 being like fake wrestling video, for those that make content that fall into the narrative of making the manufactured narratives and drama and stuff, don't get burnt out on that type of content. Nothing's particularly wrong with watching some of that content. I mean, just like fake wrestling. Watching a bit of it never really hurt anyone. Just don't try and imitate what you watch. Don't try and imitate fake wrestling. Don't try and imitate fake driving. Sometimes what people show in videos is meant to have drama and controversy and stuff. It's not what is necessarily there for everyone. Just because you see it online doesn't really mean it's true. I know a lot of what I've said so far is obvious, but I mean, let's face it, the most obvious thing that I've said so far is that people are going more into drama and controversy. So yeah, to an extent you can say what you see in some of those videos, do the opposite. You see the thing about the dirty driver in sport mode? Well, just try and race clean in sport mode. Or maybe even avoid it completely, because like I said, while you can maybe get a bit of a break from drama, you can't really avoid it completely. Yes, you can avoid racing in sport mode completely, especially given that only around 13% of total people even have. That's quite a low number, to say the least. Remember that it takes quite a lot of gameplay for sport mode to even unlock. I sort of kind of doubt that there's no way to know for sure, but sort of kind of doubt that even more than a third of total players have even unlocked sport mode yet. So avoid that kind of drama too. Avoid the over-exaggerations. Why, yes, only 13 or so percent of people played sport mode. Probably only 33% or even less of people have gotten to the point in which they could even unlock it to begin with. For some reason, Polyphony Digital decided to put the online play behind a whole heck of a heap of offline play to be able to do it in the first place, which was a stupid decision. So another good way to avoid stupid decisions is to sort of kind of counteract it. If you don't want to put in the effort to unlock the online stuff, I don't blame you. But another thing you could do is just share play someone else that has online. And then you can mess around with the online stuff, whatever you want to do. If it's someone else's account, probably don't do ranked sport mode like B or C or the cups or whatever it may be. But I mean, yeah, you can share play and mess around with that, go into lobbies and do as you will. Like I said, there's no way to completely avoid drama and controversy completely, because if you go into lobbies, who knows who you're going to come up against. But yeah, if you don't really feel like putting in all the work to unlock online, I don't blame you, because racing the AI is boring. AI in and of itself is controversy and drama, and which people's talked about in multiple videos and such, even though we're supposed to get the selfie AI and all that. It's sad that one thing that I cannot recommend for trying to take a break from the drama and all that is racing the AI, because honestly, It's no better than it was in the PS2 era, Gran Turismo. And one of the main ways that Gran Turismo got longevity in the PS2 era was racing the AI. Gran Turismo themselves put controversy and drama to racing the AI in the classic Gran Turismos, with like the one lap magic missions, such as Mission 34 and stuff like that. The only way Gran Turismo could ever make the AI interesting is to make incredibly hard challenges involving their slow AI, in which you gradually catch up to the slowest AI that gets a massive start. That's it. So I don't really recommend racing the AI for avoiding controversy and drama unless you don't consider stuff like Mission 34 and GT4 controversial or dramatic. And if you can get through all those easy breezy, then, well, you're amazing, because I certainly can't and never will be able to. I don't physically have the reflexes to do so. So, yeah. Another thing to avoid drama is don't particularly focus on yourself all that much. One thing that I know I've done more recently with getting Gran Turismo into the Paralympics is I've focused more on myself and individual circumstances. That's fine in a general sense. Like I said, controversy and drama in general is fine. That's what makes money. That's what makes clicks. That's what makes views. All that. But if you want, in this particular instance, in the individual circumstance, avoid drama and all that, don't really think about yourself. Don't really try and compare your racing lines to the best in the world. Don't particularly compare how good your livery looks to someone else's livery, whatever it may be. Just race in a general sense and enjoy what the game has to offer. Don't worry about what your input is to the game. Just enjoy what the game has to offer. Sometimes, even with me, as small of a channel as I have, I'll get overcome in trying to make something exactly right, involving me, a channel. Trying to get as good of a lap time as I possibly can, which causes a lot of controversy and drama because everybody else is trying to do the same thing. If I'm trying to move up the leaderboards, I'm certainly not the only one trying to move up the leaderboards. So stuff like that just naturally causes controversy and drama. I've said since GT Sport closed beta, repetition for competition can be a good thing. Repetition to make you more competitive is fine. But if you're trying to be more relaxed and no drama and controversy, don't try and push yourself harder than you can go. Of course, you as an individual know how hard you can go before it goes from a fun challenge to downright tedious. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend pushing overly too hard to avoid drama and controversy and stuff, because ultimately, at least for me, once you start doing something, you kind of sort of have to finish it, because then if you give up midway through, it just takes a lot of time to even get back to the pace you were midway through, and it's not really worth quitting in the first place. Maybe that's just more of a me thing, maybe that's more of a cerebral palsy thing, I don't really know. But nonetheless, that's how it is with me, so yeah, just avoid pushing yourself too overly hard if you're trying to avoid the controversy and drama and just do your own thing. And another thing that's kind of straightforward too, but it can go into more detail and add stuff that may not be straightforward once you look into it, is just enjoy the pretty graphics and stuff. A lot more actually comes with the pretty graphics than just looking at the cars and stuff, because there are escapes, there are liveries that you can download. Again, don't necessarily compare your livery work to someone else's livery work if you don't want to. But you can download liveries, you can download actually other people's escapes pictures and look at them too. You can look at other people's pretty pictures and stuff like that. So there are multiple ways to enjoy the graphics. You don't necessarily have to be racing cars. Just enjoy the pretty graphics and relax and just have fun with a good looking game. Above all Gran Turismos have focused on the real driving looking realistic for the times. And that's something that GT7 still does, as well as the peak of Gran Turismo, one of the absolute very few things. But it's still like the peak of Gran Turismo in that it's the peak graphical content for a racing game. I wouldn't say it necessarily looks downright better than every other racing game out there, but I wouldn't say there's any other racing games that look noticeably better than it either. So it's right up there at the top of the top. So yeah, enjoy it in many different forms. Whether it's scapes, racing itself, liveries, just messing around, maybe even just doing donuts or wheelies or jelly car, or whatever it may be, just cruising around and looking at the sights. Of course, the game that came out in March 2022, some of that's wore off, but I mean, even just look at the liveries. People are making new liveries that weren't there to any degree, whether it's a variation or completely new thing all the time. That's kind of the next way, too, to not be too controversial and dramatic, is just appreciate what is still being made. Even though there's some content that maybe you shouldn't necessarily binge watch, or it just gets kind of sad if you really think about it, appreciate that there's still stuff being made. Appreciate that there is still some content updates. Because honestly, as bad as Gran Turismo 7 has in ratings, the game could be completely stagnant right now, and people would understand why. Doesn't necessarily mean they wouldn't rebel. Doesn't necessarily mean that wouldn't necessarily make more controversy and drama. That wouldn't be as good at making money. But I mean, if the game was stagnant right now, if there weren't as many updates, if the races are monthly instead of weekly, things like that, which, by the way, that's going on with GT Sport currently. They're monthly races, not weekly races. Even though they're called daily races, they're monthly in sport now. So just remember, too, it may sound a bit cynical, but I mean, it could be worse. It's far, far, far from the best right now, but given how bad a reception GT7 got, I don't think anyone would have necessarily not seen where they're coming from whatsoever if the game just completely went quiet and stagnant and dark. So, I mean, just take it that people are still willing to make content, even though it might be more in a controversial manufactured drama type way. Just take it that we are still getting updates and stuff like that. Because overall, as I said, even since GT Sport closed beta, it's the people that make modern Gran Turismo fun. Yeah, it's also the people that make it dramatic and controversial, but I mean that kind of like an old Homer Simpson quote. Beer, it's the cause of and solution to life's problems. Controversy, it's the cause of and solution to modern gaming's problems and a lot of things. Beer in and of itself was controversial back in the day, so I mean it's just one of those things where ultimately, as I kind of said, in general, that controversy and drama can be good. If something was completely stagnant and not getting any new content for it whatsoever, whether it's the creators making new content videos or the actual publishers, Sony, PD, whatever, making new content for the game, either or would be a lot worse for fans. Yes, maybe, just maybe, there would be less to debate about, but overall it would be less money, and as I said in a previous video, money makes the world go round. So I mean, just be happy for what we have for while we have it, because who knows, if the Gran Turismo movie flops and there's not much motivation to make GT8 given how bad a rating that GT7 has, who knows how much longer we're going to have it. I know that's ending kind of cynical and supposed to be more positive type video, but I mean, really. As bad as GT7 is overall, it could still be a lot worse. And overall, just appreciate while we have it, especially in an online-only game. I mean, GT Sport for now still is online. It's great. It had online longer than I actually figured it would. But I mean, look at GT6. The main point of it for me was online, and now that it doesn't have online, I barely play it at all. As much as there is to do in GT6 offline, granted there's no 24-hour races and stuff, but I mean there's 1,300 something cars, and there's a whole offline career mode and stuff like that. I still barely even play it now that there's no online. Who knows when GT7's online will be cut, but, yeah, just appreciate what's there while it's there, because while it could be a whole heck of a heap better, it could actually still be worse as well. Overall, I think what I do mainly out of, like, all the stuff that I mentioned To avoid the drama and controversy of GT7 is honestly, it's not even really play the game. It's just not watch other more controversial type content. I probably watch more of the controversial type content than maybe the average. Because even though some of the controversial content retains views alright, it's obvious that all Gran Turismo 7 content in general, just like the game itself, has dropped off in popularity. Since March 22, I probably do watch more than the average even person may be watching this video. I don't want to lean to assumptions or whatever it may be, but I mean, kind of part of what I do is then talk about what others do and compare it to my own thing. So it's kind of part of my own work, if you want to call it that, to watch other content. But nonetheless, the way that I will do it is that, well, yes, I will watch all the Gran Turismo content I can find. It's of a creator. Like, I'll watch individual videos of creators and stuff like that, but like I said, even in the Gran Turismo 7 being like fake wrestling, it's hard to really be able to watch the entirety of everyone's videos anymore. I think the main thing that I can relax in that is that I don't try and push myself to try to be as completely involved as I once was. There was a point when I had to like balance where I didn't have to, but it felt like it was for the best to try and balance college with like making videos and stuff like that, and then also trying to just be involved in Gran Turismo community in general. Even now, without college, graduated, all that, discussed that in the past. It's still not really worth trying to be as involved because there's just less in general to be involved with it. Yes, there are still general racing series and stuff like that, and that can arguably be a way that you could actually have less drama and controversy. You just find an online racing series that you want to be a part of and can enjoy and such. But I mean, the problem with that is, again, you have to work to be able to unlock at the beginning with, and then the Gran Turismo 7 just online lobby servers ain't the dandiest. So that in of itself makes some drama and all that, even if you're not trying to look for it. Even if you find some people want to race with it, doesn't mean that the gamer necessarily allowing you to race with it. But yeah, overall, it is kind of sad that the main thing that I do to avoid GT7 drama and all that isn't parts of the game, it's parts of avoiding the game. But I mean, that comes from me saying that, who's been involved with Gran Turismo series for over 20 years. If you're pretty new to the Gran Turismo series, then there's probably parts of the game that you may still genuinely love playing. At most, the parts in GT7 that I enjoy is probably likable. I don't really think there's much anymore I say that I might love about GT7. Yeah, sure, when the game came out, I loved the graphics and stuff, but I mean, that does wear off over time. But if you're someone who hasn't really played it tons and all that, I'm sure you can get genuine enjoyment out of it, and that's great. I'm not going to fault anyone for enjoying the game, no matter at what stage of the game you're at, no matter what stage you are over Gran Turismo franchise as a whole, because overall, the point is to have fun. If you have fun staying mainly in the controversy and drama, then good for you. If you have fun, like in this individual instance like me, trying to avoid it, then great. Overall, yeah, anymore, I don't particularly like the controversy and drama for this individual instance. Good in general, this individual instance, like with GT7, the way in which the controversy and drama is happening, I don't particularly like it, but I understand why it's there. I understand that some people do like it, and that it makes a lot of clicks, it makes a lot of views, it makes some people have careers. I get that. But overall, it ain't for me, and if it's not particularly for you too, there are some things to do, but overall, I think the best way to just avoid the controversy and drama and all that is probably just avoid the game as much as you can. It may be the state that we're in right now, but maybe it's not a permanent state. Maybe it's one of those things, if you avoid it for long enough, you're having urge to play it again and enjoy it more than you did since maybe we get launched. If you wait long enough, maybe that'll happen. I haven't particularly waited that long enough, but each individual person is different, that sort of thing, and overall, each individual personality and interest and all that makes everyone different, and that overall, in and of itself, is worth yeehaw, and Yeah, while GT7 is far from its best state, it's been in worse state. It could be a lot worse. And overall, I can take pride in that I'm still helping make content for the game. It's not completely stagnant. And anyone can really take pride in that they're still with the game at that point. That's better than a whole heck of a heap of people. If you're watching this video right now, that means you're still with the game to some extent, and that's still more than the vast majority of people that ever play Gran Turismo 7. So take that in and of itself as a yeehaw, is that you're still here. After all the ups and downs, mostly downs to happen, you're still here. And that in and of itself is avoiding controversy and drama enough to have you still be here. You've avoided it enough to still want to be here at that point, at this point, and that in and of itself is more of a yeehaw than most people ever get. Yeehaw.